Yeah, we are live.
All right. I'm hoping you guys can see it as a slideshow now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So thanks for joining into our Archeo session. We will be covering UI, UX, and a whole lot of Figma today. And I'm just going to start off briefly by introducing user UI, UX, how they both are similar, how they both are very, very different. Go through some ideas on UX with product design, how it actually is impactful for architects. And then Richa will take over and go through a range of different tools and why we've decided on Figma being the most appropriate tool for us. And Barbara will then cover a hands-on tutorial where you can join in and get dirty with Figma. So I think first it's very important to highlight that UX is not UI, so user experience is not user interface. So user experience, I'm sure you guys have come across this, and like this is probably the most used image on slideshows. And like user experience, as the name infers, it refers to the feelings the users experience when they use a particular product. Or an application or a service or any way they interact with their surroundings or uh, uh, an app. It's basically mapping, or it's a holistic journey of how the users traverse through the use of that product, and not only it's not only about their direct interactions with the product, but also how it fits in with their overall task or the completion of the process. Whereas with UI, it's a part of the user experience where it's literally about how the users see and interact with the product, the buttons, the layouts, the interactions, navigation, filling out forms, etc. Now, as I was saying, UX and UI are inherently very different, but they work together quite well. Like they work together to provide the user a enhanced or an elegant experience. So in the UX side of things, it deals with things like user research. You really need to understand what the user requirements are. How do you distill that understanding down using data to find some insights, map out a customer journey, build some empathy maps, etc. There's other aspects like how do you now take all that data and ideate through these data sets to solve those particular problems that the user is facing. And these ideations can range from like initial ideas to going in and prototyping and testing it with the users. Whereas UI is more about, okay, now we have the entire journey map. How can we now build a beautiful interface that attracts the users to start using or attract the users to start experiencing the design in a coherent manner. So UI prototyping, I think that's what we'll be covering quite a bit in the Richa and Bavi are going to be covering eventually. Um, this is okay. So, but when you might be asking, like, I'm trained in architectural design. I can easily create amazing user experience and user interface designs because I'm inherently a designer. I was in this mindset before I started dabbling in user experience. That hey, I'm an architectural designer. I can definitely design. I don't need information about how to go about doing UX and UI. It's just that the processes are very different with user experience, right? So for example, this is a case that I recently came across. Like, good design is not necessarily good user experience, which is at a kitchen, there is a under-counter microwave. Now, in essence, or from a designer's perspective, it's a great solution to clearing up your top of the counter and not have any clutter of a massive microwave sitting on top. But when you actually go about from your own perspective of using that microwave, like as a user experience, it's flawed, and it's inherently flawed because now it requires me to either bend down or sit down. Maybe if I'm carrying something really heavy, as a heavy piece of cutlery or table, or plates that I want to put into my microwave. It just makes it a very bad user experience where I have to bend down, open the microwave, place it in. Is it heated? Is it steaming? I have to bend over to see if it's properly cooking or if it's ready yet, etc. So in this image, for example, you can see there's a microwave, but then right on top on the counter, there's another little oven which does the same job. So like it's all about, it's not just about good design, it's about the good user experience as well. I'm just going to come back to the architectural process and how it's relevant, tying it back to our industry, where in the AEC, you usually go through this linear process, right? Like you've got conceptual design all the way to construction administration to get your built form built. Now, you might say that when you're wrong. We do go through this iterative loop of design in conceptual and schematic design, which is true. But in the overarching scheme of things, those play very small roles, or they don't play that big of a role within this entire workflow of getting a building up and ready for occupation. Now, design thinking is a process that essentially takes this linear process, but design thinking is it's a system that's been evolving over time since like the 1960s. And in essence, it's a methodology geared towards solving complex problems whose solutions aren't known, right? So let's take an example of your car breaking down. Like the solution of that is very known. Like you take it to a mechanic or call roadside assistance to get your car fixed. That's not what design thinking is for as a process to solve problems. It's usually used as a process to solve problems that are inherently don't have a solution ready yet. And what I really love about the design thinking process is that it's an iterative loop, which usually starts at empathy. So you essentially start by having an objective understanding of your users and what they exactly need. You typically gather all the data through potentially customer interviews or user interviews, and understand how they potentially even interact with existing alternatives or alternative products, and really gauge what truly is their pain points and the problems they're trying to solve. In the next stage, you go into the define stage where you start defining that particular problem based on all the research that you've gathered and combine all that data sets to essentially objectively define that problem. After the define stage, you go through the ideation stage where you generate, like usually it's a bunch of crazy and creative ideas in the sense that you can go wild. You don't need to necessarily stay within the confines of what's possible and what's pragmatic, but it's more about how do you, it's really about unleashing your creativity and try and ideate wild ideas. Then within the prototyping stage, it starts getting distilled into something that's a lot more realistic, and you start building this prototype that your users can start interacting with based on those ideas you generated. After which you test it with those particular users, get some feedback. If that feedback, if at the end of it, the outlook looks positive, you implement it. If not, you just go back to the drawing board and keep repeating. But what makes this stand out from this linear process is that this can be constant and continuously looping over the time of your product. So it's not something that you would just do at the initial phase of your product launch or when you create a service. but it's an ongoing thing that you would persistently do over the course of your product to make sure your product suits the requirements or the new requirements that the user requires. So that's where this really stands out, and is quite relevant for architects, especially if you're starting to dabble in the new metaverse space, right? One key process within the entire like design thinking, as I've just mapped out, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of processes involved, but one thing that I found particularly very important is mapping out the user journey, like have the starting point of how they start interacting with that particular service or product to the endpoint, and essentially mapping out every single function of it and trying to find friction points or areas or key moments that could probably be improved on or could probably be streamlined. So it's really important to have this holistic understanding of your user journey, which will allow you to build a better product. So as I said, like what's in it for us from this single linear to a loop? Well, design thinking for meta architects. So a lot of what we're doing currently, a lot of people within this community, for example, are trying to build or trying to get into designing spaces for the metaverse, designing spaces for potentially other NFT projects, and building this decentralized virtual worlds, right? So one thing that inherently doesn't allow us to use design thinking in the real world um, in its complete uh, like using its complete advantages is that typically the design process ends as soon as the construction starts. And you can't really iteratively improve on a constructed building because it's not feasible. It's probably a money pit that no one is going to want to invest in. But what design thinking in the metaverse does is that you can keep iterating or keep improving spaces as it's all virtual. So you can keep working towards uh, actually solving problems of people occupying the space. Like, how can I spatially improve this? Similar to our microwave example I gave you before. That was a user pain point that I've highlighted, but I can't change it because now it's constructed, right? Um, Now I can if I had a lot of money, but it's not feasible for me. So what this would essentially allow us to is A, build better metaverses, but also it'll also allow us to iterate through a lot of um, designs virtually before it's being implemented, because it actually increases the pace at which we can start uh, improving the metaverse. Because as you know, like the main thing about design thinking is user feedback. We're currently using 3D modeling softwares like whatever, Rhino, Blender, etc., but there's no user interaction within that environment. What this could allow us to really do, especially if we tag it along with the metaverse, is that users are actively interacting with your designs in the metaverse. So you can gain very valuable feedback from them as to what space works, what doesn't work. And based on that, you can actually maybe come up with a better solution that can be directly integrated into real world built environments. A couple of examples of really good user experience, but also an amazing user interface. A is Notion. If anyone of you have used it, you'll notice how incredibly easy it is for anyone to jump in. And one thing about user experience is that as soon as you sign up, they have this getting started page. It's like this onboarding system, right? Where you interactively feel like you're accomplishing something or learning something new by checking off certain steps one by one. And you also learn in the process, like highlight any text and use the menu pop. So you're interacting with their platform, learning every single step or function there is on that platform. But in the meantime, you're also checking it off. So it's this iterative loop of, I guess not an iterative loop, but it's a loop of how you interact with their product while also getting an understanding of it. Another one that I really love to use was Archeo. There's a new feasibility platform where you can really quickly create three-dimensional forms. And I think this is quite relevant for us because we don't currently have a user interface design or a starting point for user interface design in 3D worlds. Like if any one of you have used any VR or AR headsets, you'd know that most of them still have two-dimensional windows in the 3D space, and you still interact with it like you would on a computer. So how do you flip our mindset into working in three dimensions? Like, what does that additional dimension add to your user interface, and how can you improve our user interface designs based on this new dimension that's been added to it? So they've got this really amazing and intuitive tool where you use both your hands. You've got dials on your left and right hand. There's really intuitive button presses and how these menus pop up, how you navigate these menus to create three-dimensional forms. So I'm a big fan of their user interface in particular. And finally, I think now we're transitioning more towards the UI, where I'm just going to hand over to Richa to talk about the various tools and segue into Figma.
Hi, thanks, Wen. Okay, I'll do this quickly. Yeah, I guess you guys can see my screen now.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, so basically when we talk about various tools, and before talking about various tools, we should know why we are looking at various tools and why they even exist in the market. So obviously it's about the need. So whenever we start something with the UI, so what we can start with is like the wireframing. Like for example, when we start with architecture, we start with concept. Why? Because it is very easily approachable. You can easily get into the details of it, and then you can create a better set of drawings later on. It's a process. So as when already described it, so basically it is about, you know, assuming the little risk and all the like if initial idea fails, you don't have to actually go through all the process again. You can find the way between them, and then it's like next step, what is the decision making that you have to do, you can do right now, because there is always a gap between the client and the designer. So that gap has to fill to, and also client need to feel confident. So for that confidence we need to go to wireframing. When I talk about wireframing, so it start with maybe with a flow chart. You go in, you know, Miro board, and you can start making, you give a how the whole website or how the whole user experience will look like. And that generally start with low fidelity wireframe. So basically it will have very basic functionalities. It will have like little response to a requirement. Like if I click here on this button, it will open up something for me, so I can navigate easily. And then there will be a navigation flows, like how and where the user experience can, like you can try to understand that. Then comes high fidelity. That is like later on when all the low fidelity is approved by the client, or at least has reached the stage that client is satisfied. Then we can talk about, okay, giving what colors or what are the pictures, and basically, yeah, more interaction and animations. Your font styles, how it should be, the sizes, it should be like accurate and very realistic result, what we will see on the real website. So we are talking here about the prototype, not really about the website that will be working. It will be, we'll be using the tools for prototyping right now. So, and if you want to choose, like, you know, which fidelity to go for, you know, like high fidelity, low fidelity, there will be some cases where, you know, you are designing for yourself. You might not want to go into the details of low fidelity then high fidelity. Then you can directly jump to high fidelity. Mhm. Okay, weird. So basically, we can have some skill checking, like some checkpoint, like what time frame do we have, what are the clients, what are the needs, and what not, and then we can have these tick marks. So obviously, if you get more positives, you will have a more high fidelity clickable prototype. Else, you can have a very static prototype that can be done even on Miro or very static tools. So let's jump like the problem remains the same. Like in architecture, we have 10,000 tools. Oh, shit.
Well,
What's happening here?
I'll give this a try.
Maybe you can
Okay.
adjust the sound of everybody as the host.
I don't know. iPhone, can you please unmute yourself and yeah.
I gotta see if I can get it back up again. So I'll get 100 here, maybe. Try this.
Okay.
I
Uh,
think, Richard, that somewhere on the
yeah,
on
I did
your
that, but he's again unmuting himself. I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
okay, sorry.
So yeah, so there are different tools for the UI UX. Basically, if you see this sketch, Adobe, Principle, they are different usage, and let us analyze where they stand. So if we analyze them, we see in base of when we start, there are some primary concerns. So one is like prototype fidelity, like how many interactions, what kind of interactions we have. So these interactions, on the basis of that, you can see here, like this is low. God. Give me a minute. Let me figure this out. Yeah, so based on that, we can figure out which one to use, which one not to use. Then about pricing, Figma is free, and other tools you can see and understand what are the barriers of in terms of prices. And then when we try how easy one tool is, so you see InVision is coming here at the extreme right because it's extremely simple, but where you see Figma, Figma is somewhere in between where you have to a little bit learn and understand. And then it is about versatility. So yeah, it's about how was I don't know what is happening, man. Bobby, I can give you the controls.
Okay, I'll do it.
We cannot. Give me a minute, guys. Yep. Yeah. So moving on. Time to master. Obviously, some tools are very easy to use and some are very hard because of obviously they have high accuracy. And also if you see InVision is coming on the top because it's very easy to use. It has some prototypes that are built in. And then you have this Figma, which is somewhere here. And then future relevancy, because how you can drive your prototype to reality is what at the end you need. So these top type of, and also the advancement in the community can determine this factor. So you see the Figma is almost a very good mix and match because it's obviously it's on web also, you can easily use it. And yeah, so let's move on to how we can use Figma. And Bobby, all yours. Please let us know how we can use Figma.
Okay, Rita, maybe if you can, I was seeing here that the only one who can ask people to who can suspend all activities is the host, and that's probably the only one who can also share the screen. So I can do it now, but I will stop everyone else to share. Okay.
Uh,
and maybe we can discuss in Discord if we need something else, but I don't know if we should try to do that or if it's too much. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Let's see then. I'll try that now. Okay. I hope you can all see me. If who can, please let me know in Discord. Reach and Van. We'll come back in a minute with the cameras and stuff. But I think you can see me back again. Can you reach and Van, and who else was there? Not making fun. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So let's keep going if that's just for a minute. The idea is that you guys would be able to follow along, but considering what's happening, let's go a little simply by the main interface of Figma. Okay, so whenever you try figma.com, there's a basic login page, and you can log in with your Google account if you have any, or you can create an account inside it. Okay, once you have authenticated, it will go for your page. Here I have all the designs that I have opened from their community or the ones that I have created. Now we're gonna create a very simple design from scratch together, just so you know basics, what are the tools and the functionality. So let's say I started a new file, and I will call study group. And the first thing we always do is we choose a frame. So when I click here, there's this panel on the right where you can choose a frame on top of what you will work. So let's say we are going to be working on a website template. So we go and get a desktop template, which will give you the perfect size for a desktop. Let's say that maybe then we'll also have an iPhone version, a phone version, a mobile phone version, a responsible version of our website. So then we go there and grab one of these frames with the exact size of what you're gonna have to show later. Okay, for moving things in Figma, you just have to click, and once you hover for something and it goes and gets blue, you know that you will be able to select it, and you click it and you drag with your mouse, or just simply dragging it, and you will be moving things. If you want to move, like panning the screen, you can keep the scroll pressed and just move around, and you zoom in and zoom out, holding down the Control key and using your scroll. If you just use the scroll, you go up and down. All right, and if you hold scroll, you go panning, and that's basic what we do. We use the scroll and click Control to go zoom in and zoom out. So let's say we're gonna build this Richard suggested that we would build together something that would be more or less like our what was the name again, a personal card, right? A business card. And I was trying to find, yeah, business card, yeah. Okay, I was trying to find it here, but in my thing, but I don't know what it is. No problem, we started again, one from the scratch. Okay, so let's say we want to build something here. The first thing we usually do is we decide on a background color, and when you want to edit something you have on your screen, you just go for the right panel and choose color. Let's say we want like this gray color, or no, we don't want something solid. We want a gradient, and you can choose one of these gradients, or you can also choose an image and import an image from your files. But let's say for now, just to simplify, we want a gradient, and you can play around with your gradient, like dragging and dropping this control points of the gradient, and also choosing colors, like choosing, changing the opacity and changing the color of the colors from each side that you want to build. So let's say that now I also want some random background effect here. What I would do with some circles. So I would add one here just so we see what you understand what I'm talking about. So let's say we go like in a green style, but I want it to be kind of blurred. What I would do is I will add an effect, and this effect would be layer blur, and we will just enhance the intensity of this blur. Let's see if 10 is enough. No, it's not. Then we can, if you hover your mouse over the word blur, you can drag to the right to increase and drag to the left to decrease. So let's say we drag it that much. And if we just change the opacity again a little bit, like 40, it starts to look a little with what I want. And let's say now I want some other of this, these little circles on the background of my website. So if I click on it and I Control-C, Control-D, I'll have another one. And in this one, let's say I want a little different color, something more like greenish, or something like this. And I want it to be shaped differently. And now maybe my background should look a little darker. Let's change it a little bit so you understand what I'm planning here. Okay. Let's say that, okay, I'm gonna have multiple times this object here, this circle. So what I can do is, instead of keep Control-C, Control-V, I can transform it into a component. Whenever you want, you know that you're gonna use repeatedly one object, you can create a component, and it automatically change the logo here. Firstly, it was just the shape. Now it's this shape of a component. And you know that if you want to, let's say you are here now and you are not seeing there the object on the left, and you want to use it again, you can go in this layer here in the assets and choose one of the assets that you have already previously built, and just use it here on your design again. Let's say that you want to change this design, the shape of this one. If you add it here, like the color, I'll add it for pink, it's not going to change the original component, the original asset here. But if I, let's say, pick up the original one and change it, the differences, the changing differences that I'm going to be doing on the first one is going to be repeated on all the children. So I know this is looking ugly, but the idea is just to show you how we use the tools, not necessarily making it look pretty. I'm gonna give back the possibility for you all to show things. Let me see, how can I do it? I think we are ready to be able to open the cameras again. Suspend participant activities. Okay, just give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay, Richa, you can now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's hope that we win out of Boredness. Okay. All right. So I talked about a little about the components. I talked about the interface where you change the qualities of images and shapes. I did not talk about stroke, but we more or less understand the possibility that we can add the stroke in one of the objects. For example, we can choose not to see one of the effects. For example, we can, I want to see, I don't want to see anymore. And it can go for the filling, for the shape, for the stroke. Let's see, if I would add here a shape that is rectangular, I can add some round in the corner. Let's say it's very used for buttons. We usually see this in button shapes. Let's say that here in this mobile app, I have like 3 buttons, one on the bottom of the other, and this is like a specific area of my mobile software, and they also have some text, blah 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 blah, that I'll add in each one of them. It's nice if you would be able to group your things in a range way. For example, if you go back here in layers, you will see that everything inside the iPhone 13 will be under the iPhone 13 frame. That's already some kind of arrangement. So if you grab your iPhone 13 around your screen, it will keep together everything that's inside of it. But if I want to move the button with the text, it's not going together. So the good way to do things is like if you click on everything that is supposed to be together and you click your right button and group create, and you can change your name here, like say, like call it the button. Maybe it would be also nice to have it like an asset and click in my button and create a component. Then I can go back in my asset. Where are you? Under the iPhone. Okay. And then I can add it again, another button and another button. Okay. And let's say, getting back to the layers view, it would be also nice to grab together, to put together all 3 buttons in a different specific group, which I would call buttons. These will make the future work much simpler for whenever you're going to be building a website out of Figma. Okay, so we grouped things, we created shapes, we added images, we added text. Let's see what else we are missing. What would you say? Are we missing something of the basic interface? I don't think so, right? Okay, so we might talk about the plugins. Figma has a lot of plugins. If you go here with your right button and go under plugins, browse plugins in community, you can find many alternatives, but some of the good plugins are the icon plugins, and which I'm gonna show you now here in a minute. One of them is Iconfi or Flat Icon. I use them a lot for adding some basic icons in my website, like the navigation bar icon or a logo or a search lens, something like this. For example, you just click, select, you can change some basic property here if you want, height and rotate and stuff, and you can choose where you want to put it and import, and it already appeared here on top of your design, and you can arrange it in the position that you want. Let's say I'm going to put it in the bottom somehow. Okay. All right. So that's the basic of the simple design interface. Oh, I missed some information. Originally, there's no ruler in the interface, but if you go here on the main button and you go view, you can add the visualization of the ruler, and you can just simply click on the ruler and drag some guidelines, which are very helpful for whenever you're designing the website, and you can arrange your things in this guidelines, which if you have used Illustrator, you probably are used to. Okay, so Richa, I was thinking that we would go for the business card, but I couldn't find it in my files. Maybe the rest of the recording we could do on top of the business card and show the prototyping with it. What do you think?
Like now or later?
Like now, I would go now for the prototyping, but it would be cool to show it on top of the business card.
Okay, so
Because
it's,
it has,
yeah, I think it will be in your file of Archeo NFT landing page.
yeah, that's the problem. I don't see it here now. I don't know if I
Okay, I can share that
Mhm.
with you.
need something, if maybe it's in a different account. I don't know. Let's
It
see if I
is
can have-
in, copy link. I'm sharing the chat.
Okay, thanks. Let's see. Thank you. I don't know why it went away. Okay, so here we are with a basic example of a business card inside Figma, and what is the next tool that we want to share with you is the prototype tool. So one thing you can always do, also do in Figma, is animate your website, like to see how it would act in real website interface. It's good because you can watch it working and you can play with it, and you can share this animated version of your wireframe with someone else and have their feedback. Is it here? Okay. Now we can see that we have some basic hover interface, like whenever you go over the architecture, computational design, and product management words, you can see that the mouse is shifting, and you can, if you click it, it goes to a specific page. You do that by changing from design to prototype tab here on the right, and you see that you can just click on an object, and you clicking the mouse in the plus button, and you just drag to the page that you wanted to be animated to. So now you see that whenever we click in Richa, the word Richa, you go for this page, which is wrong. I know that's wrong, but I just wanted to explain how to create the functionality. And then I'll get back to the beginning of the animation, and you can see it's already animated. Like now, if you click reach out, go there, and that's how you create an animation. And it's nice, so you can communicate better to the dev, who will then later transform your design into an actual website, how you want it to work. So that's basically it. It's not that hard tool. And for designers, whoever is used to PowerPoint can probably understand how to create things here. And also there are some nice features for, like, for example, creating these effects. If you click here in this, what is this? Where am I? Also, some good information that took me a while to understand is sometimes you cannot click something, but
Locked, actually.
yeah, an object is locked, and you have to find it on your own. One thing that usually helps is whenever you can't find something, just hovering your mouse over, if you use the Control key, it selects a different thing. So let's say I cannot find the inner shape, but if I click on my Control, it shows me the other shape, which is inside a group. But where is like the card? Do you know, Rachel?
Yeah, so the rectangles,
Yeah,
they're
the
locked.
rectangle, found it.
Yeah.
It's locked, so it doesn't let you click on it. Okay, this is also one of the functionalities. Now I unlocked, when I hover it, I can click it. All right, so in this one, you can see that it's added here 2 different effects. One is the background blur. If we take it out, we can see what it's doing. It's giving this effect of a glass. It's blurring whatever is in the back. It's nice when you have some shapes or images on the back. And also there is the drop shadow, which gives this 3-dimensional idea. And we have the stroke, which is this linear effect, also going from white to pink, which makes it look like it's reflecting something. And we have a linear fill, which is very nice, actually. Richa, how did you do it? Do you know? How do you create this granular effect here? You know?
Yeah, like
it's a gradient, but it's not just a plain color. It's very pixelated. I don't know how this is. This is this one, and somehow it's very pixelated. Maybe it's some of the effects. No, it's not. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show, that whenever you're filling a shape or a line or something or an image, you can click here on this little drop on the right and choose an effect. And these effects are pretty much like Photoshop ones. You can add something that can interact with the background. It's also very nice. Not easily to replicate in the future, but on whoever is creating the shape of this on the website, but it's nice. Okay, that's it for the functionalities. Did I go everything? Okay, I missed probably only the export thing, but we can cover it later if we decide on going, right?
maybe you can tell us about export, like how do you export these things?
All right, so let's say that someone built this design and it's now there's a dev who wants to create this online, wants to deploy it online. What a person can do, he can either build it on its own using code, or can export these shapes and images exactly the way they are now. So let's say I want to export this as a PNG file. If I click it, I go here in export and export ellipse1, which is the name, as a PNG, and it saves automatically on your computer. And I can export also the whole group. For example, let's say that I want to export everything that is inside of it. But whenever I try to select it with the window, it is not going properly. If I use the function slice and I create a window here and I drag here, it creates like an arrangement, a temporary arrangement, which you can also export as the slice. It's going to be called the slice, but what it is actually is like the partial of the shape that you want to. It of course it doesn't work for this part now because it's taking the whole image and we have things on the back, but you can also do like that, or you can try to select everything that is on the image, and using shift you can take out things that are not wanted, and you can just go there and export, and you're gonna see that it would take also the what is it? It's all right. What you can see is that it exported everything loose, like such as loose files, like single files, not grouped. But again, if I would go in, let me take out this slice here. If I would go in group things, you see that everything would be exported as a single image, as a PNG file, and you could place it in the website. What we cannot see now is that it is black, it's white on top of white, so you're not gonna be able to see this with all the details, but that's what it did. It exported everything in the image in the card. Okay, that's how you export things. And I think that's it.
Interesting.
Okay, Richard, do you have any tips here that I would like to learn?
Yeah. I can go through some steps. Let me share the screen.
Cool. So one thing I always do while Rich is finding her things, I always go into the community and find some cool designs to start with, and never start from scratch. I never done that. It's nice to start with some basic structure, right?
Yeah, actually, it's quite and like if somebody has made with all the effort, why can't we use something on the top of it and make it more better? Why we have to start from scratch always? Sometimes we have to. So yeah, there will be some quick tips and tricks that can save our times. So for example, like you want to duplicate this whole shape that you have created, and you just press Control D. So it will create it here. Now you want it to be copied multiple times. So you keep on pressing Control D, and it will keep the alignment and copy it. Now if I want to make like, again copy it and then want to bring it down. Okay, let's say it's half is it. Okay. So yeah, again, if I press Control D, I am making it. Now if I want to just, align it, what I can do is I can press this grid option. It will align everything together.
Cool.
And then this thing is for, increasing the gap, basically the grids. And this is for swapping it. Like, for example, if you have different picture, you can keep on swapping these things with one another. So this is the use, and it was very quick. It will help us to, replicate things quicker and faster. Then obviously now you have so many rectangles, you don't know which rectangle am I talking about. And so if, for example, let's say these rectangles, if I select and I want to rename them all together in some arrangement, and there, let's say there are some options. What you're gonna do is you're gonna say Control or Command in Apple, Command R or Control R. Here you can rename. So if I say it's Option button, and I put it like a number, so it will give number automatically. And also I can like change this like whatever format I want and then rename. So it will rename for me, and this can help me. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so yeah, the fourth one will be okay. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, this can be helpful in selecting the right thing that we want to edit and save a lot of time. Then it will be like if I want to change the color of just one of this, and I want to do it very quickly, just for showing you like right now. So what I can do is, instead of going here and finding the color which I want, all I can do is I'll click on it. I'll go here and write maybe yellow. So it will automatically turn into yellow. So these type of things also can save a lot of time for us. And then obviously, like for example, let's say, okay, yeah, here in this case, this rectangle, this text has like this broad, like this thing, extra space. And yeah, if I'm selecting, this can get selected also because of it overlapping. What I can do quickly here is this, like auto width. It will make it smaller till the limit. And this is like how quickly we can, start making drawings.
Very nice.
Okay.
Love to learn. So one thing that I wanna know, but I don't know how to do is how to fix some paddings. I know that use the constraints. I know they have it. Do you know how to do it?
Like constraint, I didn't get what exactly?
Like I want to constrain, like I don't want any of these rectangles to go near from the text, like
Oh.
this amount of pixels. You know, like
Oh
for
yeah,
example,
that's
I don't
not.
want any text to touch the border of a shape in like having a padding, something like this. I know that this exists, and I know it's probably very simple to use it, but I never did.
I think this is
Here,
all I know.
there.
Yeah, right.
Position and scroll. Mm-hmm.
So basically I can, like, it basically is like if I make, okay, if I do this, so if I'm putting on scale, that it will scale together, and if I put it like left and right, then it will be keeping its position there, like it has a constraint. So this can be used in that form. And when I'm saying fixed position when scrolling, what will happen is, for example, I'll show you very quickly. This is very interesting. Like, it's like, personally I like it a lot. Okay. Okay, and I select this. Okay, wait. I don't know if you know this, but I really like when I want to scroll things, I make a frame out of it. Selection. And obviously I put it in this. Yeah. Now what will I do? I'll make the constraint this much. Like, okay, let's say here. And I go to prototype and say that I want vertical scrolling. When I play this thing, I can actually scroll through while telling the designer, like, sorry, the developer, or, you know, whoever you want to convey a design. Yeah, like I can go and scroll it.
Cool. Yeah,
This is
never.
something.
That.
Yep.
So you can create frames inside frames as well.
Yep, definitely.
Nice.
So yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So whatever you see, like for example, here, I want to give, like as Bobby already told, that we can give the stroke, and maybe I can want to give the drop shadow effect, and I can obviously control it here. Like I want to spread it around like little more and blur it also little. Okay, let me
Change the position.
yeah. So what will happen is, like, now I want to style transfer everything. If I click here, all the details that are here will style transfer. How? So what I will do is I will do Control Alt Control. So basically I'll press Control and Alt and press Control Alt C, and then come here.
I'm sorry.
Control Alt C. Alt.
Out. Okay. Sorry.
What do you say?
Hold on.
How do you say
No,
that?
it's the same thing.
Control Alt C.
Out. Yeah. I was kind of thinking it would be a single key, like a letter. I was understanding a letter, no problem.
Yeah, and then you say Control Alt V, so it's style transfer in a click. So yeah, that's how.
Cool.
Now, but like, you know, you don't want this. What you want here is just one thing. Like for example, you want to just transfer the shadow. What you'll do is select this, click here, it will select this, and then you say Control, yeah. So basically you say Control C and then Control V. So it paste only that particular thing that you want. So basically like this. So it will be much quicker that you just design for one and copy to all. And one interesting thing that Figma has is this hidden tool that is, you know, like on Mac, it is Command Y, and on Windows, it is Control Shift 3. So basically you press Control Shift 3 and you go in this mode where, you know, you just see these vectors and you can play with them easily. And also, you know, while telling it, like making them understand the basic design, you can use this. And to come back, Control Alt 3. Okay, it's not working. Okay, Control Shift 3 again. Shift 3, yeah. Yep. So you're back into this. Cool. Then, okay, so Bobby, you already told how components work here. So if you go in assets, you go in assets and it's here. So what you can do is like you want to change the color, like maybe change the component. What you can do,
Can
come
I
here.
swap?
Yeah. So I'll swap by just, pressing Control and Alt. It will form this rectangle. If I do it, it will replace. So it can be
Oh.
very quick when you want to see it change things, colors, pictures, and whatnot. So, yep. And then maybe you would like to see nudge tool. So what happens is like when I'm putting it here and I want to move. So like if I press the arrow key, it will move certain pixels only. Now what I can do, I can go here, go into preference and say nudge amount. What if I want to nudge around 50 pixels? So if I click here, okay, no, not this one, other one, I guess. Okay, let's say 20. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, so it will work in
Okay.
pixels. So it does, yeah, it is better when we align it. And then for resizing, what we can do is, yeah, so like, for example, if I want to resize this whole thing, I can obviously go and resize like this. If I press Control, it will work. But what I want to do right now is, for example, I just want to do it from the both the sides, you know. So I'll press Control and Alt and I'll see this. So
Also,
this can be quite helpful when
I don't know if it's me or Richa. So it's Richa. Okay. All right. And she's the host. And then you're still blocked, right? Let's see. And I cannot unblock you. Richa, Ven is muted, like forced muted, if you can unlock him somehow.
Hey, I'm back.
Yay!
you were forced muted. How rude, Bobby.
Yeah, how rude am I? Okay. All right. I loved Richa. I loved all your tricks
Tricks.
and tips. Very nice. Cool.
So
All
yeah,
right,
I have
guys.
some more if you want to see. Like, yeah, this
Yes, I
one.
do.
Okay, this quick one I can show here. So, you know what,
Oh,
like when
I had a question about the one that you were talking previously. So whenever you press the Control Alt, it ignores the paddings, the constraints. Is that what's happening? And it
yeah, like it is like from both the sides it is coming.
from both sides. Okay, it's
Yeah.
nothing related with the constraints. If you would do that
So,
on the one at
so,
the top,
so
it would.
basically for constraint, you press Control. Like if you want to ignore the constraint, you press Control.
Okay.
And if I do this normally, okay. So, okay,
Yeah,
I've already
that's
pressed
probably.
K. I already pressed K. That's fine. So yeah, K is one thing that makes you directly to the scaling part. So if I press K on my system, it makes me to direct scaling.
Okay.
So I can scale this.
Cool.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. So when you want to make a rectangle, basically you can click R. So if I press R and I'm clicking it here. So I cannot move it when I'm, even scaling it. So what I can do is I can just press my space bar and I can move it while creating it. But the problem here is it will move, this first point was the one now when I started creating. So it will move by taking that as a constraint and will move along that. So what happens in this case is when I press again and I say a space bar, it don't take the constraint from the first end. It takes the constant only from the second end. So this is what we have to figure out, it is moving with the help of first, but the constant remains second, like the rulers basically. And for example, now I am clicking this and I want, like, say Command D, I want to move it. So what is happening is once my cursor is inside, that object remains inside the frame. And if I just move out, it just goes out. How can we stop that? Is just press the space bar, and then whenever you do, it is within that frame, basically frame or group or whatever. So this is how we can work like very quickly with this, and not like go here again the layer, put it inside, those sort of regular work. There's something called auto layout also, like you can put an auto layout here, so it will just give you a good layout, but unfortunately that's not what you want. And so like for example, if this is coming on the top of it and you want to make it quickly like send to back or front, you want to see how it is looking, what I can do is quickly, just press this square brackets, open and close, you can see them coming up and back.
Cool.
So this can be faster, basically. Yep. And then the best one I like is calculation. Like if, for example, this is the one and I want to calculate something. So say if it is like, I want the height something around 1000, divide by something, okay, like 5. I can just do it here, right? So it will automatically do. So I can do calculations right here. So yeah, these are some very quick ones that we can use while using Figma. Do you like them?
I love it. I was thinking that I should have taken notes.
No, I can, like, I already have some notes like here. I was preparing. Maybe I can share it on Discord, and anybody who wants to look at it can go. And even what we can do is like we can keep on adding some shortcuts, make a directory for us. Whenever we're using, just open it to the side and see them and practice them together, like whenever you are working. That's a good way of doing it. So I have some quick tips in UI understanding also. I can just go through very quickly. So yeah, whenever we started to design, it is better to have a sketch kit. Basically, you have like what fonts you're going to use and what will be the height for the headings and all of that. So if you keep them together and the process become much faster because you have the strategy. You know what you are going to design with, and then you can keep on changing the things accordingly. Then like while designing, and like with the UI, there are certain understanding that we already have, like a human perception, because basically intuitions. So whenever you want to go to home, you have this side of it. Whenever you want to search, it is most probably this side of it. So if you see, this is more like where, most of the websites have, like here or here, you have the search options. Then if you want to see some bannerets, they're always on the right side of the screen. Navigation links, obviously links are like here, like fast quick shortcuts, filters, everything is this side the most. Then external links, then obviously shopping cart, you always have it here, the cart on Shein or whatever website you use. Then help links, obviously, like the question mark with the blue one is always here somewhere most of the times. And then about us, obviously you see them bottom or here somewhere we say, or like about us, contact us, and these sort of things. So if you go back here when we were showing this design, not this one, the personal branding card, if I play this, the home, like if I click architecture, I go to the architecture page, but home generally, like according to this, the home should be here. And it's very intuitive for me also, like to look to go back to the first page, I'll see first here. But in this case it was here, so like once I click here, then only I can go. It would have been much better if it would have been on the other side, like here I would have been very much intuitively going there. So this is just a small example how things are.
People lost her again.
Bobby.
hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay.
You're back.
Because I don't know what's
Okay,
happening.
I had a question about this. I was thinking, is this cultural or is this universal?
I think it's very universal because the way, like we were discussing previously before the live, that MUI that you were showing. So like every website is using. So over the period of time, this has become a habit. Like when you go for like Amazon, Flipkart, I don't know what all websites we use, eBay and all, they have the same tendency. And that's where like it has inherited in us that we look for things like that. And it's better
Yeah.
also to have certain sort of strategy or mind alignment. Not always it has to be so creative that you have to relearn again and again for different websites. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of a norm,
true.
unsaid norm. Yeah.
And of course, the first thing you have to, you probably want is to let your user be able to use your website, right? So if it's too creative that it gets, you need a tutorial to understand it, it's probably not good enough because you're not passing on your information or not selling your product.
And as I think Ben also showed that Archeo website, like Archeo app. So it has the controllers here. So you know that whenever you are wearing a headset, the controllers will be at the bottom. You never see any controllers on the top. So it's like a, yeah. Somebody must have designed
like a
it.
convention, something like this.
Yep, yeah.
So use that, it becomes a convention. Probably because it makes sense. Cool.
Yep. To arrange the layout, there are some rules that we can follow because obviously it's about the intuition. So you have this middle and corners, rule of thirds that we use a lot of in presentations. And you have Gutenberg where you know that a reader will start from extreme right, left, and then we'll go and reading down. So if something you have to make them read, you have to use this Gutenberg Z. And then you have this reading gravity. So obviously, first you see something, you read about it and go for a picture. So these sort of alignment can help us to like also navigate through our, like if I'm making my business card or I'm making my portfolio on Figma, it will be easier for me to understand how the person will read and I can walk them in that user experience that Ben was talking about. So yeah. And then it is always too good to start with the low fidelity, not with high fidelity. Why? Because low fidelity has less time consumption in comparison to high fidelity. So obviously time is one good benefit. Resources, low fidelity will have little like less resources, and high fidelity will have more. So that also depends, like if you want to create something very very natural, like very, like if I want to make a design for an online marketing, so it is very easy for me to take the resources instead of starting from the scratch, that as we were discussing earlier. So trustability, obviously lo-fi and hi-fi, whichever fidelity it is, trustability doesn't change much because you understand it, like they are very intuitive also when you make them understand. Obviously it is not realistic, and this one is realistic. So it depends how you want to present yourself in front of the client or whatever the need is, whoever the stakeholder is. And yeah, the tips and tricks are done.
Cool.
Bobby and Wen, do you have anything to add here?
For that part.
Wen is again typing. Why is he muted? Bobby, you have muted. You are the host, man. Because I've
No, I'm not in. Oh, because you left. Participants. No, you are host.
Am I host? Give me a minute. Let me stop share. Ben, so sorry. Now you can.
Can. Okay, maybe. Well, let's wait to see if Man wants to add anything.
I think I can talk.
Ooh, you could.
Can't video, but that's fine. At least I'm
Oh,
50% there.
so sorry. We got some, attacks basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
We
That was
had
very
to.
weird.
We had to click on security. That was the button.
I was reporting, like report out.
Cool.
I think that was great though. The whole session. It's just those guys or the spammers. They made us lose a bit of crowd, but generally, I think it's been a great session. I learned a few new things as well with the tips and tricks. So I was taking some
Loved your
notes.
bit.
Made my day. When learned something.
I learn something new every day. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Do you have anything to add to the tutorial? Should we close the live section?
Will we talk about the future session, or it's not right now?
Well, I have a question. Have any of you used Sketch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No.
So basically,
Have you?
I've always heard that it's old and it's very hard, so I never even tried it.
Right, fair enough. I have never used it, so I'm just curious how it's different to Figma.
I think they have some art boards, and the design, you can edit in art board, something like this is there, and you can see your design somewhere else, something like this is there. And also there's something in Vision and Balsamic. They're also widely used around the globe. They have some prototype, they have if you want to put image of what you say in a phone, so it will make a phone. If you want some layouts like Instagram, it already have, you can just use it. So yeah, it has a lot of presets that you can use.
Okay.
Okay.
So can we talk how and what, Figma, at least let's talk about the product Figma, how and where an architect can use and look at using Figma in their work or presenting their work or where. What do you guys think? Is it feasible?
I
It's a good
definitely see
question.
it.
Bobby, do you want to go first?
No, you can go.
I think it's not like a typical architect, probably not so much as a platform to use unless they want to build their own websites and have a digital presence. Because I feel like they already have a set of good tools to design things like business cards and stationery items, essentially. But yeah, I think if they want to dabble in the digital space and start actually building user interfaces that people can interact with, then it's definitely a useful platform. I'm just curious, what your opinions are on this.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I've never thought of using Figma for creating a presentation, but it has many more alternatives for animation than Google Slides. And it has much more alternatives for adding shapes and designing the shapes and all those settings much better than Google Slides. So the only thing that I did not see that I would miss if I would say I could change Google Slides for Figma for my future presentations, but the one thing I would miss is presenter's note. That wouldn't be right. But for everything else, I kind of think that it would be pretty much better it's better in animation, it's better in editing shapes, it's better in arranging the shapes, because we do, I don't know you guys, but whenever I do present like a poster or something like this that I want to design collaboratively, I go to Google Slides because I cannot do it in Photoshop and I cannot do it in Illustrator together. I cannot co-design, live design. And then Figma would be a good alternative for that. So like creating a poster as well, like sharing the design live with multiple people, it would be a good tool for that. Better also than Miro. And all this frame on the left, that where you arrange all the shapes and organize things, it makes much easier to create animations and editing and growing your design, right? So actually, now I would see myself using Figma more than I used to do before.
Yeah, the community is very strong of Figma. Like you can go find good designs, like really, really good designs. And tomorrow, if I want to showcase some product, like my project, I can easily go and make it very clickable format. I can just share that Figma link. People can go drag, understand, scroll, and whatnot. Like,
Scroll, yeah, it gives so many more alternatives of interaction, right?
yeah. So I don't know how to design website on React or something, but definitely I can use this part, understand this much more easier. But the limitation lies that whole that I don't know, like if I have to, I don't know how much is Wix compatible, like Wix and these already pre-made websites. What do you guys prefer, like Figma or these already made websites which are like hosted? Now that's the question.
That's a question. Okay. Then do you want to go first?
Sure. I think Figma is useful for prototyping and wireframing these websites before you go and start dabbling in Wix and all these editors, because sure, they have some templates and many people can get away with using those templates. But for example, if I'm building a portfolio of my work or a blog post, and I want to do a particular layout that stands out a bit compared to the templates they offer, because they all look typically very similar.
Yeah.
So without actually going through this process of wireframing and layout and just jumping straight into Wix, you just find yourself wasting a lot of time without having a plan of action. So Figma is useful for making that plan of action before going in and executing those designs.
Yeah. I have done Wix from the start as well. If it's something that you have to do very fast, and you can start from a template and just do some twiddling around, adjust a little adjustments. It's okay. It makes sense if you're in a rush, in a short time project. But if you're gonna build it from scratch, like especially not using any of these builders that might have some stronger constraints, if you're gonna build from scratch, I would definitely do something like this. If you can build from scratch, it's much better. Like,
So, like, can't we do it in Wix? Like, we can start from scratch, right? Like, there are a
the
lot of
problem is
options to tweak it.
whenever you go into Wix, it's gonna have a lot of constraints. You're not gonna be able to edit, to replicate what you did in Figma. Depends on what you're doing in Figma. But for example, in our website, I was creating some kind of hover effect. Oh, I cannot share. Can you go there on our?
No, I've enabled you.
Okay, sure. Thanks. Okay, so this is the website that I was creating for our NFT launch. So I kind of looked into this object here. I was creating this shape. I was designing it inside Figma, like these shapes. And I thought, okay, it would be a cool element to have it also in the hover effect. You are never gonna be able to find that on Wix, like a specific hover effect or active button effect. Like if this is selected, this is supposed to look like. But if you are building from scratch, you're gonna be able to do this personalized items, like this type of button. I wanted to have this exactly look. But if you're okay with letting all those details go, because sometimes they're not that much important. But as Van was saying, if you're doing something very personalized, you're probably going to be having a better alternative if you build it from scratch, but not faster. Definitely not faster.
So if tomorrow I ask you, like, if you want to design your portfolio, like just to showcase and share it to everyone, what platform will you guys use? Because like I don't know how much of you use Behance or Isu. Like, yeah, because they don't take the input like this. They use PDFs, JPEGs. So yeah, what will be your choice?
It's a good question.
Do you think that these would be okay to share, like, oh, this is my product, my portfolio, share a link from Figma, or is it too bad?
Yeah, I can keep on editing and I can keep on sharing. So like the whole link, that big link is a problem.
Exactly. It doesn't
I don't
look
know if I
good.
can encapsulate in some format, but
Yeah,
definitely I am
short
liking this
link.
idea. Yeah, like I have a in background I can edit anytime, go add things, add animations and whatnot. And also I can convert anytime the same thing into my real website. So why not? That's my question. Like even I am pretty confused where to start these kind of things. What are your thoughts then?
I think I'm in a very similar position because I've jumped between so many platforms. I started with Wix. Then I was like, okay, maybe not. I'll use Webflow or WordPress. And then, no, I should probably come back to Figma first and wireframe what I actually want to display. Now I'm currently in that process of wireframing it. And there's also now questions about, do I actually need a web portfolio, right? Like, can I just have a OneDrive document? And if I want to publicly share it, I can just share that document. Like, I think it's all about what's the purpose that is serving. Like, is it just purely about a single channel, like one to many, where you have a single set of a set of content that you the one person wants to share with many people, and there's no other way around where they can start interacting with you, or do you actually want to build a platform where there's more interactions, where you're trying to create a small community of people, or people who would like to know more about you, so you start posting blogs and writing content, things like that. So um, there's different use cases, I guess. At the end,
Yeah,
Figma is a tool, and you use the tool for the purpose it's built for.
I was
Ac-
thinking here that Instagram is used a lot for interior designers, for example. You're used to share a lot of content there, so could function as a uh, exhibition of your work. If you're a developer, people usually use GitHub. If you were a designer, you use Behance. So you could have these other social alternatives instead of a portfolio, like a fixed website.
But you're right, actually, like tomorrow if I want, say, like, contact me, I can take them to a link. Definitely in Figma, I have this option. I can click on a link and take them to a link. But if I have to ask for the email IDs, things like that don't work here. There are no databases, there are nothing like that. So if I make it on Wix or I make my own website, I can ask for these things. I can have some automation, some Airtable running on the top of it. So yeah, that sort of limitations we can have. But till we are not finalizing how our website is gonna look like, and we are keep on doing iterations, I think that iterations can be very helpful in Figma. It will be much faster for us.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like, one thing that I've always been disappointed with any, like, not having this platform is, like, as designers, especially people who think spatially and in 3D, I'd prefer a platform that I can give people a three-dimensional experience, right? So I'm just curious, will there be someday when the technology is mature enough to allow for a three-dimensional Figma, right? So you can prototype 3D interfaces and um, and maybe give that as an experience for people. Um, I don't know, like, is it possible right now? I'm not sure. Is it a demand that people have, except for me? I don't know. But it's just like every time I build a website, I'm just like, I'm not happy with it because there's so much more I want to showcase, which I can only do in 3 dimensions. Um, so yeah, that's just a small thought I've been having lately.
I think,
Maybe
like
3GS. Sorry.
3JS, yeah, 3JS obviously. And also some
Hmm.
metaverses like presets they have, like for example, spatial. So I've seen people keeping that as a portfolio room for them. So they take you to the room and they ask you, this is my work, this is all of my work. You want to see? Okay, they have website links. They have room within the room so that you can go like have a portal. So they can actually showcase your their design. You can go inside it and feel that. So yeah, like you're actually right. Like today, websites is fine, but also we can talk about some metaverse portfolio like we can create
Yeah, you can showcase 2D and 3D together in Spatial.
together.
And
And
it's
also
very easy to put things, to add things inside of it.
yeah,
I don't know if it's
scroll the
as
websites as
flexible.
well.
Yeah, exactly. Go through the website. It's nice. I don't know if it's as flexible as you were thinking about, but it's a start.
And there are constraints, like all the metaverses that we are having right now, they have limitations that this much of the data you can put. Because obviously the streaming is not easy. And once this,
Hmm.
some high tech will come in, then things will be different. Like I cannot keep my Revit model on any of the platform. First, I have to downsize it to the considerable amount, like literally bring it to something around 50 MBs. Max to max I've seen is 120 MBs, which is like with good qualities and stuff I get. So 120 MB and that's it. So you have GBs of data, you cannot bring it in 120.
Exactly. So I think coming from the XR background, like there's a lot of reliance right now or promise of 5G, like because once everyone's like once 5G is mainstream, data caps will be like limitless. Storage might be a concern of how much storage you can get in that particular platform, but that's where you get decentralized storage, I guess. But beyond that, like for streaming that amount of data and having a seamless experience, like I said, maturation of technology is something we just have to wait it out.
So I read something about it, like there was this Autodesk University's lecture, like around 2018 or 19ish. I don't know what the company name is. So they developed a prototype where you can go in your Revit and you can have like a web host VR. But the process behind it is like if I'm seeing something like in this particular angle, it only streams that data. So if I move my face, it streams the other data. It is not like all the surroundings are already streamed. So I don't know
Mhm.
what is the technology behind it, but this is the basic concept that they had. That is in beta phase right now, and they are working on it, and it's obviously paid. So, but things like this are coming out. And what exciting thing that I saw was teleportation. So basically, 3D teleportation, they keep some sensors and they call, and this is 2015 video. I'm telling you this, I was so excited about it. It's so old, and still, I don't know how far we have reached. I don't know where the research has gone, but they were actually wearing those HoloLens type of lenses, and then the person was able to see the kid, his kid, like talking to him, and I don't know. It was very very nice. Like I felt it nice. So basically, someday we will be having this 3D streaming together. We three will be talking like this and having one screen, but not physically together. So yeah.
We must be very close to this. Closer than
Actually,
we
this
think.
morning I
Maybe.
saw a LinkedIn post on
Yeah.
this screen, but it seems like three-dimensional. I don't know. I think, Richa, you come across it.
Screen, is it?
Yeah, it looks like a screen, but then the person sitting in it is three-dimensional. So it's like an augmented projection of that person,
Projection. Yes, yes.
almost. I'll try and find it.
And
Did
also
you?
that person, what it did? It was like, okay, I can show the video. Why I'm not? Give me a minute. It's very interesting. Bobby, what are your thoughts? Would you like this kind of thing?
Um, I don't. I don't feel like I need it now, but I have a strong feeling that whenever it's so easy to do it, I'm gonna feel like I need it.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those natural evolutions that we experience, right, through the years. Like the cell phone. A few years ago, we felt that we didn't need it. Now, I must probably can't live without it. But the UX has to be very, very good. Otherwise, it won't make that much of a difference. Like the Oculus experience that we have today, it's not that great. The experience is not that great. So I followed some architecture studios here in Brazil that started to do some basic use with the Oculus and VR experience, and they all dumped this idea because the user did not feel good in this position. Whenever they put the Oculus, they would feel like alone, they would feel dizzy, and the interaction with the other people would not be that good. So in the end, it didn't pay. The investment wasn't that good. Everybody who tried to do it once dumped it, left it behind. But whenever they were using this visualization without the Oculus, the experience was much, much better. Like in a big room with those round screens, they would use it like always. Whenever they would sell a building, they would have those big rooms with round domes, and the user would enter, join in, and would have a good experience. But if you have to put the goggles on, forget about it.
Ben has, I think, similar thoughts. Yeah, Ben, yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, I do. I think last time when I had the talk about immersive, I mentioned this as well. Like, it's just, and it's been, there's some hard research that's backed up these claims as well, right? Like, there's this post VR sadness or the feeling of sickness after coming through a VR session. Interestingly, I made a post recently on LinkedIn linking to one of these studies, and all the VR maxis, they just started, like being very defensive about VR, and I'm like it's just a discourse to talk about, not something you need to get offended because you've been in this space for 10, 20 years. Like sometimes it's just how it is, right?
Yeah,
You
it's just
spend
data, right? You cannot discuss data. What about the lenses? Have you seen the lenses that use AR and VR?
Oh
XR?
yeah, I have.
Not yet, XR. There's been this development of the lenses, and I think that would be a game changer. But I don't know, it could be terrible as well. I haven't put one on my eyes, and actually I am very scared of this idea, but I have the feeling that it would be cool to have these lenses on and be able to interact with it and use it in. It could be really something that we will be addicted in the near future if it works the way they're promising. I think I shared in Discord the link as well.
What scares me is like, we hide a lot of things behind our face, and once these sort of technology comes in and we wore those glasses or lenses, and it using AI, it start telling us that when is feeling bored, Bobby is excited because we have the shield behind our face and it starts telling the reality. We cannot wear that reality ever.
It
I
is.
just
It's
saw
very
that again.
scary. I agree. Like because I know there's quite a few people who are intuitive at reading people, and have had instances where they say I'm really good at reading people, and I just take myself a bit back, and I'm like, okay, what exactly is this person reading about me? So you become a bit more closed off to that person. So it's just yeah.
It's the Mojo or Moho vision. I don't know if it's
Yeah, it's in the news, but nobody knows if it's real.
exactly. It seems like they have made some improvement.
Certainly, our
recently.
UI is this, I guess. We won't be satisfied till this 2Ds and stuff. We have to go in immersive format.
So
I
yeah,
don't know, but
I'm
I
very
like
skeptical about this tech, personally. Like how like physically, how is it even possible to put these microchips into something so small and transparent? Like I just don't understand it.
yeah, I don't know either, but
So, but we have those HoloLenses and stuff that they do these things, right?
But they're a massive
yeah,
machine on top.
not this small. Yeah. Look at this. It's very small. Of course, it's the size of a lamp.
Slowly, like everything is coming very close to our body. Basically, we got first the headset, then the computers, mobile phones, headset, then those glasses, now this.
Now the
So tomorrow
putting
it will be like you will have an operation to put something.
Elon Musk, of course.
Yeah,
Elon
neural.
Musk.
Hey, Elon Musk is already doing the brain
And
implants thing.
actually, I told my husband that I was more keen to letting somebody operate me and put a chip in my head before I would have the courage to put a lens in my eyes. A person, eye phobia, like, but I would like this. I think this is the actual metaverse for me, at least. Whenever this is real life geolocated and like this in the eye, would be definitely some kind of cyborgs, droids, ourselves, and not in a bad way.
Reality.
I'm sorry.
This Mojo vision is not a reality, I hope.
I don't know. Okay, so should we talk about the next? Oh, you were sharing something about the teleportation.
Oh yeah, I can give me a minute. I'll show very quickly. Yeah, so this guy, he's from Microsoft, and what he's doing is, okay, I can play the music.
Communicate in the future in real.
It feels great to be teleported.
So that's how.
So Sergio is to wear his HoloLens device,
Yeah.
and I'm going to wear mine. We can see each other in full 3D in real time. We can interact and communicate as if we're co-present. Sergio, can you walk around my space? Can you walk behind this chair?
But we have to use this thing on the.
So we're doing everything to give the impression that
This whole setup, yes.
Sergio and I are present in the same space. Sergio, let's just do a high five. That's great. Thank you, Sergio. We call this technology holoportation. Capturing me from a
Yeah, so this is what it is. And the best part is like you can
and that's what we're showing
record it.
Cool.
So this guy is playing with
let me get out
his
your way.
daughter.
This is cute, yeah.
I like you so much.
This
I
is
love
lovely.
you too.
Exactly.
I'll be home very soon. Bye bye.
And now what this guy will do is he will replay his moments.
That I can see through another pair of eyes from all these different perspectives.
Even can scale it.
And because this is
Can you
3D
beat
content,
that? What is this?
miniaturize it onto this coffee table and experience it in a more convenient manner. And this becomes a magical way of experiencing these live captured memories.
Yeah, it's like live captured memories. That's right.
Black Mirror.
Look at this.
Now imagine being able to
2016.
teleport to any place with
This is like
anyone.
mass surveillance. I just feel like dystopian.
Exactly. I get a little scared about all this, but I want to do this with my son right now. It's scary, but I don't want to lose any more moments.
Yeah.
I'll go there. Can you please share the link in the AR XR channel?
Yeah, I'll just do it right away.
Cool.
Sorry, I think you've just deterred from the original topic of UX and
Yes.
UI a little bit.
That's what
We
I'm
did a
saying. We
little-
will never be satisfied talking about the 2D UIs. So actually, you know what, guys, what happened when Bobby, you logged everything. So we have logged the meeting basically.
You have what?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
we have logged the meeting. So nobody can
Awesome.
join now.
Are you sure? Oh
Jesus
gosh.
Christ.
And I
Well,
cannot
at least you can
unlock.
watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay.
Copy. Yeah.
Shall
I
we
just-
stop now the live sharing?
Yeah. Do we have anything other than that? The UIs. So okay, for portfolio, what we think is website is fun, but also we can go into some metaversy look. That's what we can conclude. And we will never be satisfied with these 2D UIs. We have to go some 3D immersive, maybe holoportation. And what else will be the conclusion of this? Should architects move? Okay, yeah, this is the question that we should talk about. Should architects move to this UI UX, and how vast is the difference about the costing, like cost per hour of an architect and the UX UI?
I've seen UX UI jobs that pay more than architects.
Definitely.
A lot of fuck. Really.
Exactly. And there seems to be much more online remote job opportunities for UI UX than it is for architects. Probably because architecture is something very location based, right? All those rules. I don't know if that's the real thing, but I have the feeling that design opportunities, there are much more design opportunities than it is for architecture.
But once you talk about metaverse, the opportunity is actually becoming endless. So now I don't know how many of you see that now websites have this GLTF model with inside them, and you can actually walk through all of these models. You can see things on that. So the websites are also getting very 3D, and that can bring a good employment to architects and the 3D modelers. I don't know. Actually,
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 3D creator economy very soon. Like we don't have enough 3D creators or skills of people being able to create 3D objects. And I think there's going to be an implosion or an explosion of people trying to start learning 3D and create 3D experiences.
have you guys used Gravity Sketch on your Oculus headset? So, you know what happens in that? Like you just wear the headset and you go into that app. By your hand, you make the 3D out of it. Like you carve the 3D the way you want. Now, that is one more thing that can make change, Like I should not go to Rhino and give some constraint and start building the nets and stuff. What I can do, just go to the Gravity Sketch. It'll sketch something up, export it into some format that I want, and that's it. And that's also very low poly, like very good quality. Low quality, no poly and good quality, yeah. So, yeah, UI will change. Like the static thing will obviously is changing.
The UX of this, the gravity modeling, is it good or is it bad as many of those simple modelers that you have like in iPad? I never get used to those things.
So the UI is simple, but it's not like very modernish. It's very, what do you
But
say?
does it go where you want it to go?
Yeah. I can just zzz, I can make any curve you want. I can play with a lot of things in that. I wish I have worded. I could have shown you, but not right now. This species doesn't support it. So yeah, sometime later, maybe.
I think that's fascinating because I know a lot of architects take inspiration from dance movements, for example, to construct buildings and these really organic and like motion defined forms. So I can imagine like even dancers using this tool to maybe create some unique forms, and maybe that's being abstracted by architects and maybe more like defining that into a three-dimensional design. I don't know. It's definitely something that I would love to look into.
So,
Chemical.
so I have a question, one last question. Like, do you guys think that at Archidao, shall we start taking some UI projects? I think, I think they're pretty good to do. At least some good side income.
I would say so.
Acceptable.
Why not?
Let's find one good UI project, and let's like whoever from the community and we three can start making something out of it. You never
Mhm.
know where it takes us.
We could, yeah, definitely. One thing we need is a new website for ourselves. Our website is very basic, not bad, but it's basic. And the way to interact it and to adjust it is very limited because it's in WordPress and with this specific Bluehost builder, which doesn't let us do much. If we could do a very cool website for ourselves, definitely could open opportunities for future UI work.
Interesting. So yeah, when like would you like let's say the little XR website, maybe we can try. So it is like a metaverse website. You put your model there. We can have some showcases also, like yeah, from the family of Arkidao. This is how it works. Then what is Arkidao? Like there are some potential channels. And then when will be like put a plugin of immersion. You'll create an AR. It will be actually very exciting. When are we doing it?
Let's do it like right now
Like right now.
in 2 minutes.
Let's get the funding from Arkidao and let's start working on it. I am very excited. If we do it, we we can actually do it for Arkidao and also for other companies.
Yeah, like you know what? Like I've been noticing, especially in many NFT projects, there's a lack of UI designers. I mean, they find it really hard to find UI designers, and they end up throwing together a website using Wix and stuff. Like some of the websites you see on these NFT projects, it just looks so bad. And the first impression matters, right? Like they have a really strong white paper and a project roadmap, but then the website's just so bad.
Mhm.
It could be a service, maybe just starting off there.
Mhm. Okay. So I think we can stop the live stream. Any final thoughts?
Shree's just joined us. I don't know. Does she have it?
No. Okay, let's stop the live stream, then we can carry on.